Hello everyone, and welcome to this Motor Trade Radio Supplier Special with your hosts Philip Nothard and Curtis Hutchinson.
Hello and welcome from me, Curtis Hutchinson and Philip Nothard, to this Motor Trade Radio Supplier Special podcast. As many of you may have heard, the big news at the end of last week was the announcement from Motors that it had acquired the CAZOO brand. So we're delighted to welcome Phill Jones, Chief Operating Officer, and Lucy Tugby, Marketing Director from Motors, to share more details about what the deal will mean to car buyers and dealers. So welcome both of you to the pod on what has undoubtedly been a busy few days and a busy few weeks for you both.
Thanks very much. Yes, it has been.
Has the dust settled?
It's probably just started, hasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Currently in the eyes, coughing our lungs up, but yeah, we're getting there.
That's it. You have all the doing it all, and then now you've got to do everything after now, won't you? It's a big thing for you both. But I can well imagine that we've managed to grab a little bit of your time today to talk through it with us. But great to have you both back on.
Fantastic to be here.
So, Phill, let's start off with yourself and basically the thinking behind Motors buying the CAZOO brand, and what does the purchase actually include?
Yeah, so I guess a key thing in the question there is we've purchased the CAZOO brand, right? So, dispel any rumours that we're planning to sell cars direct or going to open up physical dealerships or the such like. We've bought the brand. CAZOO is among one of the top 5 automotive brands in the UK and absolutely a household name amongst car buyers. There'll be generations of sports fans who grow up knowing the CAZOO name. And, that was kind of the key attraction for us. It wasn't straightforward. We know there's a lot of emotion around the name with dealers, but fundamentally we believe that this provides a path to really helping car buyers find the next car from a known and trusted brand. And, it's perfect for us to add it to our network, alongside Motors, eBay and Gumtree. A multi-site proposition, as we call it, is fundamental to what we do. So, so we think that the CAZOO brand is a great fit into our network.
And Lucy, why have you taken the decision not to rebrand Motors as CAZOO?
Yeah, well, we know from our research that car buyers on average visit 4.2 websites during their car search journey, and that's increasing and up 20% in just 2 years. So we know that actually buyers want to visit multiple websites, increases the trust they have for the dealers that they see on those sites, and also the likelihood to make contact with a dealer. So having both brands provides a really important opportunity and unique opportunity to significantly expand our visibility with dealer listings and obviously strengthen our SEO footprint, etc. So it is really, really important to have those two brands. We want to continue to invest in Motors as a web destination, as well as, obviously, as Phil's already pointed out, CAZOO has very high consumer awareness. So with further marketing investment, we'll continue to sort of drive that through and make CAZOO a famous, innovative, mobile-first automotive brand.
And there's no concern that operating two platforms might mean that Motors and CAZOO will actually be competing with each other?
No, I think there's plenty of space for both brands. We will be looking at, in the coming sort of weeks, months, at how we obviously create that differentiation between the two brands. But we know there's plenty of space for those two to operate. And we know, as you say, that consumers want to visit multiple sites. And we're looking at how we create that space between them.
And Lucy, I think there was the report that you decided to launch the new CAZOO used car marketplace as a mobile app. Why did you decide to do that? What's the thought behind doing that?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, so the first experience will be mobile first. So we will be launching a new mobile app very shortly. I think really for car buyers, the car search experience can be very overwhelming, time consuming, and stressful. So we really wanted to start with a very streamlined, simple to use, user friendly car search app with all the choice, though that's important, the choice of dealers and vehicles in there. And the app experience just sort of lends itself to car search. And I think, it can be convenient, it's on the go, it's sort of all of the best things we know and have learned about car searching in an app. And obviously this is the start, so we'll be looking at iterating on that. That's also the great thing about an app, is that you can very quickly make changes and updates. So it's a really exciting platform to be developing on, and we think it'll be really well received by car buyers and hopefully car dealers as well.
And you say very soon. Is there any sort of timings in terms of the launch? And is there anything you can share about the plans to launch the new CAZOO website?
So as you've heard, actually we've had a lot going on as a business. So the app will be launching in the coming days. So we are actively working on that now. So please do watch this space, as also working on the website at the same time. So the website obviously takes a lot of thinking and a lot of planning as well. So the app will be the first step, and then there'll be lots of learnings that come from that help us build the new web experience as well.
And Phill, following on from that, over time, will you be cascading any of the tech from the CAZOO app and the new website into motors and vice versa?
So interesting question. One of the things that attract us about this is, at Motors we've got 15 years plus experience of running a successful marketplace, generating thousands of leads for dealers every day, and we do that across multiple sites. We've learned a few things along the way. The mobile app was actually a really interesting opportunity and quite fortuitous in terms of our timings, because we were building the app before we bought the CAZOO brand. Right, and we quickly pivoted to take advantage of that. And effectively, one of the questions we asked ourselves as a leadership team was, how could we use this to try and supercharge what we're doing? And the easiest thing would be to just sort of copy paste what you've got, but actually having the CAZOO brand and being able to lean into it as a mobile first experience allows us to kind of sort of rewrite some of the questions and think about what we're doing. So personally, I'm really energized by the fact that this opens up questions around what we do from a future technology stance. So the app, absolutely brand new technology, fresh canvas for development. Currently thinking about what we do with the website, but again, taking that same spirit and strategy, and then absolutely will cross pollinate. Motors is, it's a bit like Trigger's broom, right? In that it's kind of had 10 different heads and 5 different handles. It's and it's constantly under development, and we've learned a lot in the last year around what we want to do with the technology, and CAZOO, I think, will form part of that. So absolutely, I think it heightens the ambition internally for us, and that's really exciting actually. So cross pollination of ideas, and a real spring in our step, I'd say.
And that's actually an important point that you make, because this is all developed in-house, isn't it? The new CAZOO app will be an in-house app that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. We've worked with some leading providers to kind of give us their thoughts and give us the springboard for it. But yeah, this is IP that we own and are building off. And it goes to the purpose of the acquisition of the brand. We understand how people search for cars. We know how leads need to be delivered to dealers. We're pretty confident we can really take this as an experience. And I think one of the things that's there as well is CAZOO has a really high brand recognition. The website doesn't have loads of traffic compared to Motors at the moment, which actually is quite helpful in terms of providing that platform for future growth. So we're able to take a bit of a breath and actually do things properly and plan for the technology appropriately.
And we mentioned it in the opening conversation that CAZOO comes with history in terms of what they did when they entered the market, and it was very critical of the franchise and independent dealer models when obviously it first entered the market. I mean, what will you do to win over those dealers now? And that as you said right at the start, I think it was yourself, Phill, saying about this is different. It's the brand only. It's looking at that marketplace side of it.
Yeah. There's definitely been a lot of interest. My phone's been on fire since Friday. Kind of on the social media, kind of there's lots of people sort of tagging and adding their thoughts, and we absolutely have to be sensitive to this. And there was a lot of debate actually as to whether the brand was so tainted with dealers. And the one thing I think every car dealer would recognize, it has high consumer brand awareness, and every car dealer wants to be in front of consumers and have access to their, and this really does allow dealers to now finally benefit from the spend that's gone into the CAZOO brand. I think CAZOO's been fascinating as a disruptor, and you have to put a few noses out of joint along the way. I don't agree with everything that was said at the time, but actually kind of that's not important right now, because what we do know is that consumers know the brand, consumers like the brand. We know that people, when people went to the website, it converted pretty well. And so we believe we can help dealers access that. We can help them sell cars, and we help them get in front of the car buyers at different stages of their car journey, and get it there. I'm not going to say we're going to do it all perfectly well, because we have challenges every day anyway, as all businesses do. But the ambition is absolutely there. We know that we'll have a successful business if we can help make our customers successful. So that's the spirit and the intent.
Yeah, and I think the key message you're getting across here, this is not CAZOO in it's always competing. This is getting cars in front of customers. This is
absolutely.
That is it. This is about awareness of their vehicles, isn't it?
And there's a bit of reassurance whenever there's kind of a big statement. We have this internally as well as externally. You kind of have to provide reassurance. So categorically, we're not going in this to try and pivot into selling cars ourselves. We absolutely believe that we're a marketplace and help connect buyers and sellers. Even to the team internally, we've had to make things clear that we're not really picking up other assets. Unfortunately, we're not carrying on snooker sponsorship and the such like, but we'll carry on with that. We believe that what we've taken on board is overnight a brand that is known by households amongst the way. And in the 15 plus years I've been at Motors, we've always said, look, we want to be a household brand. We now have a household brand. So it's a real springboard for the future.
And Lucy, following on from that, I mean, Phil's already said that you won't be sponsoring the snooker or things like that. So what investment plans have you for the CAZOO brand at the moment?
Yeah, it's obviously we're at a sort of the starting point of putting in place a lot of those plans. But the first step obviously is to launch the app. And those plans are already underway. So we'll start doing that immediately, but on, sensibly, a sensible level. And that's, I think, how we're approaching this brand now is very sensible planning that makes sense. And then obviously the next is to look at how we sort of start growing the brand again and growing the traffic. That is in tandem with obviously the plans for the new sort of web experience. So there's a lot of work to be done. I talk to me again in a kind of couple of months' time, and I'll have probably more to say. But what we do is we want to approach this in a really sensible way that makes, that's going to be impactful, but also allows us to kind of run this brand sustainably.
Yeah. And Phill, do you envisage franchise dealers listing new cars on the platform in the future, or is it strictly a used car marketplace? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so to start with, the mobile app will feature used cars. It's what we do day in, day out, and that's kind of our bag. So that will go live, and that goes live for all Motors multi-site customers, at no extra cost, which we think is kind of a great value add. And then kind of looking to the future, and this is kind of crystal ball time. And as Lucy says, we're actively sort of talking with our board around kind of plans. But my take is that if you look at any kind of major or market leading marketplace in automotive across the world, they have a mixture of inventory types. So they have new, used, they have motorbikes, caravans, They have everything kind of on there because you're creating a destination for buying a car of all types. So no immediate plans, but it's absolutely my expectation that at some point it goes on the to-do list.
Yeah.
And finally, and I think you're taking this one, Phill, today. We couldn't have you on without asking about what you're seeing in the used car retailing market. I'm conscious that the market view is probably imminent to look at June and the year to date. But what have you been seeing as key trends over the first half of the year, and any standout trends for June?
Yes, it's quite interesting. We're in a sort of a slightly weird position, weird timing where there's relative stability, but I think I'd describe that with a deep suspicion or fear of further shocks. So speaking to our customers, they're kind of punch drunk at all the kind of shocks and impacts over the last 18 months or so, but like the best boxers, they get up and just keep going. And so when we look at prices, we're seeing kind of small sub 1% kind of type changes. But when you look at year on year, down about 7%. What we've been doing this month is drilling in a bit and seeing that the biggest reductions in price at the moment are in the 2 to 5 year segment, which is down 8%. So that's kind of really pulling that overall year on year element down. And we know that market's being challenging for some of the supermarket groups, which is seen in some of the bigger strategic moves. But it's still a really important market for consumers. We can see consumers are very much open to the idea of hybrid and EV, but price and budget still impacts today's decisions. And this gives you this kind of precarious position where, as a dealer, you absolutely have to have the right stock mix at the right prices. And it's worth doing your homework and being ready to make quick decisions. So that's kind of quite a kind of long-winded way of saying you've just got to stay vigilant and alert, and the market will reward those who are willing to take calculated risks. But there is no such thing as a risk-free return. And I think the supermarkets highlight that, where those who are committed to kind of being supermarkets are absolutely having to double down on operational excellence, pricing, stock mix, and really live and breathe it every day. So as in the car trade, we get up and we just keep going, right?
It's certainly interesting times. But yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, definitely. And it's probably just worth highlighting that your market view for June, it'll actually be available over the course of this week, won't it, Phill?
Yes, hopefully.
Yep. Okay, look, many thanks, Phill and Lucy, for taking time out to join us on the pod. If listeners want to find out more about your plans for CAZOO, where can they find further information? That's
an easy question to answer. So please head to our site, cazoo.co.uk. We've got a holding site live for now. And obviously, whilst we work on the final sort of web destination, but there is sort of help and information on there, plenty of information on there. Well, thanks once again to both of you for joining us on what's a particularly busy time for you. Unfortunately, that's all for now. We're back with the week's headlines on Saturday. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Thank you for listening to this Motor Trade Radio Supplier Special. Presented by Philip Nothard and Curtis Hutchinson.